Guten Tag.
Hello.
I'm here with Nyph from SK Gaming, obviously. Going to do a quick interview with him here from Gamescom. So the first thing I want to ask you about actually is the last week of LCS. Because going into this week, no team except for even Lemondogs actually weren't certain that they were going to place top, and everyone was wondering who will be the teams to place in there. Obviously your team didn't make it. Well, how do you think back on this Super Week overall? Which games went well, which ones were just a disaster?
I think the first two games were really good. No, actually, the first three games were actually really good, where we won all of them. First one was against Alternate, then Fnatic. Like, they were a bit closer, but we still were sure that we were gonna win it. Then Mim was, like, I think it was pretty more easy that game than the other games. And then the Gambit game, I think it was a pretty disaster what we had. Just this level 1 screwed up over so much that we couldn't come back probably. Like, the lane was, they went for our blue buff because actually there were a lot of things that happened this game in level 1. Like, first of all, the Renekton got my ward at the left side in the middle, so we had no vision that the trash wards the red entrance. Then they saw Kevin basing, so they knew we gonna lane swap. And then they saw me as well, so they knew we had no wards at the blue buff. That's why they actually invaded. So, and then they pinged our ping too. It was like a whole mess for us, like everything was going wrong. And in the end, they got the blue buff. Actually, they didn't get the blue buff, I think. Yeah, they got it later, but they just denied it. And then the lane was pushing to the other side, so Kevin couldn't even get any XP for the first 6 minutes or something like this. And he was totally out of the game. And then we finally decided to lane swap, but it was too late already. So either way, any lane who goes bot lane at that point, either way we, Kenny and me or Kevin, is so screwed this game, and it's pretty hard to come back, especially against the Eve, where you don't know where she is actually on the map, and she's deaf, and you always have to counter fill. It's like so many things that went wrong this game, and from that on, the game was lost already at that point.
In the last game, not the actual playoff for the 7th spot, but the last game of the Super Week, who was it you were playing there? Nyph, that's right, yeah, okay. And this was actually a game that was really back and forth, and people were like, I was watching with some players in the room, and they were thinking SK was going to win, and suddenly it was like, what went wrong in that game?
I think the picks and buns we made a mistake in picks and buns. Like, we let Zac open. We should have bundled that last bun so they don't get Zac and Shen, because I think those two heroes are the most broken heroes in the patch right now for top lane. Just because of Spirit Visage, and just they are so tanky, and then they give so much for the team. Like, Shen has the ulti, they can split push, and Zac just never dies in teamfights. It's pretty hard. And then they got those picks. We should have banned one of them, so they get only one, and we get another. So it's a trade-off, but we failed there. In the game as well, like, I think it was going fine. Mid lane was a bit behind. We didn't expect the Diana pick there, but it was going good. But till the last team fight, I think that was the one where everything went wrong then. Like, Ose was basing, but Zac saw him, so he jumped over the wall, and then he got him, and then he died too. He could have just based and then come back, and we could have went for natural or something like this. Then also Kevin was greedy for the Shen kill, I think. He flashed and then died in the base, and I died too, and then it was... Before, the team fights were very close, but it was in our favor. But after that, they had too much advantage, and then they could just finish the game.
Despite the problems you had on the Super Week, because Alternate went 0-5, you ended up playing them in the decider for the last spot. Did the fact that they went 0-5 make you think you were going to beat them?
I think that doesn't count too much at that point. It's like more, they had a losing streak, but they got the chance to actually come back, and we missed our first chance, and I think it was like the motivation for them was way higher than for us, because we were a bit down after that lose, and they were like, okay, we have another chance, we can get this, and I think that was one of the reasons like why they won.
Last season, in the regular season, your team had quite an impressive result, getting to 3rd, and it looked like you were doing very well. You did better than EG. Still finished 4th overall in the total league. What do you think changed from last season to this season that made it so much more difficult? Because your team was one of the few that kept the same players, you know.
I think the composition got better here in Europe, but also like the beginning of the season and like week 7 were pretty bad for us, where we put us, like, we had such a huge gap at the beginning of the season, and we couldn't quite close the gap at the end. And I think that was one of the reasons why we are 7th and not playing playoffs.
People who followed SK for a long time, this was the first time in quite a while where I think SK kept the same 5 players for all this period of time, and so now you won't be in the playoffs, but you might get into LCS again. People are going to say, oh, SK will change your player. Are you certain that they'll, if I come back in 6 months, will SK still have the same lineup, do you think? What's your sense?
That's a good question. I'm not certain sure. I think something will change, but I'm not quite sure what. I mean, like how the season went, we had a pretty bad start, but we were talking about roster change and everything, but we were focusing on the wrong thing. We should have just focused on the training and what is really important. And
you were thinking about it during the season?
Yeah, at some point. Like we had like so much problems, but we should have focused on that we are 5 guys and we could just play like this, how it is. Like how we did at the end of the season. We should have done it the whole season, but we are focused on so many wrong things. We should have done way better. And I think it shows actually when you focus that you can actually win. Even you don't have to change the roster. I mean, that's the easy way. You can just change it and just pick a player who plays the right champions at the right moment right now, and then he will do better. But in the end, it doesn't help you.
When it comes, like when you were saying before, the competition level went up this season, it seemed to me like that part of that is because in the spring season, some teams got in who were like a surprise, like Giants get in, Dragonborns, whereas we thought like teams like Millennium might get in, stronger teams, you know, and some of these players now basically are the ones who got into the summer season, Creaton, the Alternate, these sorts of guys, so it's a very stacked season. Do you think that the amateur scene now will be as tough as the other qualifiers in the past? Like is SK like a lock to get back into the next season? Because I think a lot of people would say they are.
I think if the qualifier would be right now, I think we had a really easy time. Like we played against some teams, and I think it's a pretty huge gap right now between amateur teams and LCS teams, because all the good teams are right now in the LCS, not like before where we had actually really good teams in the amateur scene. I think you still have some, but I think we'd still make it easy.
One of the strange things is the best team in the amateur scene right now is Copenhagen Wolves, but they will definitely lose Rekkles, who's their like star player. Is there a team out there of the amateurs who you think is the most dangerous if you ever have to face them in the qualifier? Is there one who comes to mind?
Not really. I mean, I watched some tournaments, but
you don't follow it so much?
I didn't follow it too much. Like there TCM, who was pretty good, I think. They would beat Copenhagen Wolves as well. Like we played against Gaming Gear too, they're not too bad, but I think they still miss something what makes the difference.
So since you're not in the playoffs, but you played all the teams this season, can you give me like your opinion on who will win the next matches? So we've got, okay, so EG Alternate, Gambit versus NiP. Who does your gut tell you will win each of these matches?
I think EG and Gambit will win these matches. Like I actually hope so too, because they are the old teams, and I think
cheer for the old guys.
Yeah, like you're always closer to the old teams because you know them for longer. But I think they also got back on track. Like they had a really hard season as well. Like also EG had really a tough spring season as well. So, but I think they are back on track and they will do good.
If Lemondogs, who won the regular season, was to play Gambit, would they win?
I think Lemondogs would win if they keep practicing like they did before.
Did they actually stand out as like the best team in all of LCS?
I think right now, yeah, because how they play, it's really tough to play against. It's like they get so much vision control. If you let them get a small advantage, they will just take the whole map, and it's so hard because they also play this catch heroes in the jungle like Java and Lee Sin and heroes like this. And once you're out of position, or you just want to, especially as support, if you want to ward something and you're not certain sure if you can, you will just die, and then they just take advantage because someone is dead.
Fnatic were one of the teams who had a weird season as well, because they were doing quite badly. They changed out N-rated, and then they were actually doing quite badly on the Super Week, but they like turned it around at the very end, and then luckily that tiebreaker let them go all the way to second. What do you think of the strength of their team with like the stand-in player at AD carry? Are they good?
I think Fnatic would be better with rekkles. I think they're doing still good, but I think they're missing something right as well. Like PK changed his champion pool a bit, so he doesn't play those split pusher on the assassins anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons why they are not that good anymore, like before, because he doesn't carry the team anymore.
So you're actually someone, people might not know this, who's played in all of the World Championships for LoL, because you played in Season 1 with Game D, and you played in Season 2 with SK, obviously. This season you won't be there, you'll be sat at home. Aside from doing badly in LCS, like what is the significance of that for your career? Do you have to be at Season 4? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's actually pretty sad that I won't be at the Season 3 finals, because I have been to every final so far. And my aim is to get to Season 4 finals no matter what. And I will play and try even better for the next season. And it's actually pretty sad because a lot of teams from the Season 2 finals won't be there. Like TPA won't be there. Frost is like maybe not, because they just lost against KTB.
Yeah.
So it won't be the same finals like last year.
Do you have a final message or someone you want to thank?
I think all the fans that are here, like it's pretty awesome just to be here. Even though we don't play, it's like people come to me and it's really nice. Just it shows that we have a lot of support, and I think that's one of the reasons I will keep playing, and it helps me to motivate for the next season.
Danke.
Bitteschön.